Please take a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, in the past, when I still used to like myself more than is necessary, I occasionally held speeches which were marginally long. In the meantime, having become more reasonable, I go with the maxim, don't inflict on others what you don't want to see inflict on yourselves. And my speeches have become very short. Hence, I will tell you only what is absolutely necessary. First, I am called Robert Kolb, a professor at the University of Geneva. I teach international law, and for the Academy, I teach in the Executive Master's program. Second, I will be your Masters of Ceremony today in replacement of the director of the Academy, Robert Roth, who is not here, so that, unfortunately for you, I had to step in. My charm is less than the one of Robert Roth. But you will be able to hear him speaking in some minutes through some medium. Third, we have a very rich program to which I welcome you very warmly. You have an important day today with the diplomas, a day which remains clearly in the minds of the students. For me, it's many years ago that I had such a ceremony at the University of Bern, but I have still vivid recollections. Fourth and last, I'll give the floor immediately to the first speaker, and since we are already quite delayed, I've become very Swiss in the meantime, clock is here, I would ask all those who intervene to try to be short. Thank you very much, and then we can already switch to the welcome address by Professor Robert, the other one, Roth.
Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to welcome you to this graduation ceremony while regretting not to be present in Geneva on this important day. It's an important day for us all, for you students and for your families, but also for all the people who are working at the Academy and with the Academy, professors, teaching assistants, and supporting staff. It's also an important ceremony because the first time that students of the Master of Transitional Justice graduate along with students of the LLM International Law in Human Rights and the Executive Master in International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights. Therefore, Thomas Unger and Frank Aldeban will take the floor in some minutes. Before handing it over to my colleague and friend Robert Kolb, I would like to underline that this has been a very good year, and these have been very good classes. All professors agree on this. Many of you have already begin to be involved in the so-called real world with international organizations, NGOs, the ICRC, etc. I'm sure that the experiences you all have gathered here at the Academy will assist you all along your professional life and perhaps in some cases in your private life. I wish you a very nice ceremony, and I wish you, above all, a very successful professional and private life.
We already made up the delay. Fantastic. Therefore, I directly give the floor to two teachers of the program Transitional Justice, Thomas Unge and Frank Haldeman. Please take the floor.
So I hope you can hear us. Looking around, I think one person is missing on stage, and I think it's Valentina. We would like to have Valentina with us upstairs because she has been a crucial member of our team, and we did this Masters on Transitional Justice as a team. So please, Valentina, be with us in the middle.
Right.
So where are our students? I think there. So we have been allocated 5 minutes, at least according to the agenda. Frank and me have been thinking, what can you really say in 5 minutes? We would probably need a whole day or a whole seminar to talk about the Master on Transitional Justice. It has been a very rich year. It has been a first, as Professor Robert Roth mentioned. It was the group who will graduate today will be the first group graduating within the framework of the Masters on Transitional Justice. And that makes us proud in itself. That's really an achievement, and we are very happy that this happened. We wanted to focus on a few highlights of the last academic year, the first academic year of this Masters on Transitional Justice. And Frank has one highlight to present.
Yes. Good evening. Good to see all our students also from my side. So one of the highlights certainly was the study trip to Nuremberg. As you know, we did a study trip to Nuremberg, and we did many things on these 3 days. We went to see the museum, the memorial, the famous Nuremberg trial courtroom, and so on. And then we went to the rally ground. And there's one moment which really sticks out, and when we were standing there, walking through this rally ground where the Nazis used to celebrate their crazy ideas, and we were walking through these rally grounds, and we felt really, that we were experiencing this together. And I think that was a moment of coming together and of experiencing transitional justice together. And then we went, of course, doing other things. We went having a great German beer somewhere, but that was a good moment. Yeah.
Another moment which came to our mind was actually the in-class discussion we had. And when I look here and around, I see some of the protagonists, basically, of these discussions among us here today. And we were able, just as a footnote, we were over 20 people coming from different nationalities. We had over 20 nationalities in the room. But we still managed to come up with a common language on transitional justice, which is a very broad field. It's a very interdisciplinary field. And I think that was for us a highlight, to manage to develop common language in the area of transitional justice through discussions with you.
Yes. And maybe another moment was the spring school. We had a spring school on memory and culture, which brought us a bit beyond, very technical things of transitional justice. We also do. But that was a moment where we had 1 week together thinking about what does memory mean, what is the role of culture in transitional justice. And there was also a moment of great creation, I think. There was a theater performance by some of our students. I think some of them are among us, who performed theater testimonies, for instance, by victims. And then we talked about this together, and I enjoyed this a lot.
And the final point, being conscious also of time, and speaking with politicians, you need 4 points at least. The final point is actually that it was a pleasure basically to getting to know you individually and to also learn from you. And I think we are richer today, actually, after having spent the whole year with you in class and also outside class. So these are the 4 highlights we had. And so what we kind of remain to say is that we wish you a very successful future. We hope you will stay connected to the field of transitional justice, that you will be able to implement what you have learned throughout the academic year, So stay connected. This is not a goodbye. We hope that this is a beginning. So see you again.
See you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. These were 5 minutes with Swiss precision. Or Austrian, yes. Now, an important part of the program, the word is to the students. The Students' Association speech is now on our program. Please, I don't know who takes the floor. Please.
Take the mic or start this one? Okay. Is this good like this? Okay. I stand here behind the desk because I still have my notes. So, and we are actually 4 from the Students' Association. And with me today is Patricia from the Executive Masters, Alexi and Laura from the LLM, and me myself from the Transitional Justice Masters. And we'll be speaking on behalf of the students. So, dear directors, professors, fellow students, and parents, I have been given the honor to say a few words on behalf of the students. First of all, I would like to commend the Academy for letting us fill the gender gap, not only on this stage, but also in our program. We were around 3 times more women than men in the Transitional Justice Masters. We are also a very diverse group of students, as Frank and Thomas said, representing 5 continents, 28 different nationalities, and we collectively speak more than 16 languages. We are also very different in our career backgrounds, with some of us being lawyers, political scientists, diplomats, and journalists. But despite our differences, there's one thing that brings us together, and that is our commitment to human rights and the fight against impunity. We are also the first class to graduate from the Transitional Justice Masters, and while the concept has been around since the early 90s, it is still very fluid and ever-evolving. We as former students and now experts are often asked what transitional justice exactly is. Well, sometimes it's easy to explain. Measures that aim to achieve lasting peace after conflict or an authoritarian regime. And sometimes this basic question is more difficult to answer. This is especially true with regards to the question, when is the transition over? What is the time frame in which transitional justice can be applied? There are obvious examples of transitional justice measures, such as the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of South Africa and the criminal tribunals. What we can take from this course is that other mechanisms, like memorialization and establishing and maintaining archives, are equally important. Archives are a memory of the past and can help avoid a recurrence in the future. Such memorialization exercises are very much present in Germany, and this more than 70 years after the World War II. We recognize the importance of keeping the past present throughout the master's program, but especially during the spring school and our trip to Nuremberg. My personal answer to the question of how long transitional justice is necessary, and I'm sure that some peers agree with me, is that it should always be present. After victims have received compensation and perpetrators have been judged, the time will pass and there will be no more witnesses to the tragedies. Transitional justice can add expertise to help seek and maintain the truth. I hope that we as the first generation of transitional master students can go out in the world and help it make it a little bit more just. Because we all know that the arc of the moral universe is long, and sometimes it needs a little help to bend it towards justice. I want to thank the Academy and our professors on behalf of the student body and the Student Council for sharing their expertise, and we hope that we'll make you proud by being good transitional justice ambassadors. We also would like to extend our gratitude to Valentina, Dani, and Catherine for their support throughout the year, and of course the 2 directors, Frank and Thomas, who have put their heart and soul into this Masters. Thank you.
So it's my turn. to directors, professors, members of the Geneva Academy, distinguished guests, dear fellow students. I'm honored to speak today about our program and how it was an adventure and worth it for us to come back to university. I'm saying come back because ours was a group of young and mid-career professionals who joined the executive program to obtain their second or perhaps third master degree. Most of my colleagues were in full-time jobs and dealt with their regular work schedule in addition to studying. Others left high-paying jobs in private law firms on a quest to change their careers from business to human rights and humanitarian affairs. Some traveled almost weekly from abroad to the academy, flying from hundreds of kilometers away. Yet others left on missions at some point and prepared their exams from the jungle. In many cases, the decision to invest a significant amount of time, money, and effort into our studies caused family, us, friends, to question whether it was worth doing this program. To answer this question, we have to look at what the Academy gave us, and I have 5 points. First, and this is obvious, we had the occasion to learn from the very best. Then it allowed us to refresh our knowledge and to delve into new areas that we have not studied before. It gave us the opportunity to listen to top specialists in many engaging conferences. It offered us coffee, tea, and cake at every class. We were privileged. And crucially, it provided us with a space for thinking and speaking freely. So what are we doing now with what the Academy offered us? Some of our colleagues are getting ready for new field missions while preparing articles to be published based on their experience and research that they have carried out here. Others are using the knowledge they acquired in our program in their diplomatic missions, in NGOs, as army officers, or as human rights advisors in international organizations. To all of us, the Academy opened opportunities that will bring their fruits for many years to come. So I think I can answer on behalf of my colleagues with a resounding yes, it was worth being a student at the Geneva Academy. Our thanks and gratitude go to our professors, teaching assistants, Camelia, Danny, Catherine, and everyone else involved in making our program so valuable. Thank you.
Good evening. So Laura and I today decided to do something a bit different. We'll try to keep it short, but if we fail, please don't start playing music over our voices like you would at the Academy Awards, or maybe a more fitting comparison, cutting the mic as you would at the Human Rights Council. What we've decided to do is, in line with the Academy's tradition of legal rigor, present to you a draft Protocol Additional 4 to the Geneva Conventions related to the study of international humanitarian law.
So, in that order, we, the members of the Democratic Studying Council of the Geneva Academy, having been democratically elected in open elections, overcoming decent and plethora of adversaries, and garnering 99.9% of the popular vote, present the draft Protocol Additional 4.
So, Article 1. This protocol shall apply to the study of an LLM at the Geneva Academy, hereinafter detaining power, taking place on the territory of a high contracting party.
Article 2. This protocol shall be applied without any adverse distinction founded on accent, including the speaking of non-plain English, pronunciation, hairstyle, failure to dress in a weather-appropriate manner, blah, 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 non-discrimination, you get the point. Students at the Academy are considered persons deprived of the liberty for the entire duration of the program of study and regardless of their geographical position.
Article 3. Under this protocol, and regardless of nationality, are considered protected persons individuals who voluntarily enroll at the Geneva Academy, any high ratio of Italian nationals among the protected population shall be regarded as a pure coincidence and shall not adversely affect the application of this protocol.
Article 4. Members of the forces of the detaining power, also referred as professors, 1. Provide the protected persons with the necessary academy weapons to fight the international armed conflict that is post-academic reality. This includes telling protected persons what not to say in a hiring interview at the ICRC. Second, such training shall always respect the principles of precaution, not crushing their dreams too violently, and proportionality, not providing more co-reading than is absolutely necessary.
Article 5, auxiliary personnel, also referred to as teaching assistants, shall enjoy special protections. They shall be specially protected from acts of slavery, such as having to answer emails sent by panicking students at indecent hours, and being preyed upon in public places outside of class time. 2, the cruel and inhuman 8 a.m. start of tutorials shall in no circumstance excuse any hostility towards auxiliary personnel, for they are to be considered as equally victims of the detaining powers policy.
Article 6, the administrative personnel of the detaining power provides invaluable support to the protected persons before, during, and after the deprivation of liberty. This includes answering countless emails and phone calls, repeating the same information countless times, and generally being called upon as life counselors. As such, they shall benefit from a special protection and can never be targeted.
Article 7, the following acts are to be considered grave breaches of the present protocol. 1, the order to confine the protected population in poorly ventilated facilities during the months of summer for the purpose of sitting an exam. 2, prolonged and uninterrupted confinement of the protected population for periods exceeding 5 consecutive hours. 3, forcibly displacing protected persons on the tram 15 between Unimai and the Graduate Institute. 4, intentionally inflicting suffering, agony, potential heart attacks, and anxiety attacks by imposing strict exam deadlines on the sometimes unreliable Moodle platform. And 5, inflicting suffering by withholding information regarding papers and exam grades for extended periods of time. Such treatment shall be equated to torture, regardless of whether a mens rea can be proved.
Article 8. At least once a week, members of the forces of the detaining power shall provide all protected persons with examples featuring at least one polar bear, one newborn baby, or killing Elvina. Interpretations of the Rome Statute must be undertaken with vigor and passion, appreciating first and foremost the clear words of the text. Arguments are always strengthened by continual references to phrases in a dead language. Protected persons may punish fellow protected persons for arcane, complicated questions asked 2 minutes before the end of classes by glaring, silent treatment, and rolling of eyes.
Article 9, for the sake of consistency, the following words shall be pronounced in the following manner. Fleeing shall be pronounced flying. Safeguards shall be pronounced safeguards. Laurent Gbagbo shall be pronounced Laurent Gbagbo. Bias shall be pronounced bias. And plagiarism shall be pronounced plagiarism.
After the deprivation of liberty, protected persons shall, as much as possible, disseminate the knowledge and values acquired from the detaining power, fighting for the more humanity in war and for advancing human rights worldwide. Protected persons may face acute Stockholm syndrome, but be it as it may, they will have to hand over the flame to a new generation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for these high-spirited presentations. Now, the next speaker is the keynote speaker of today. It is my friend, I may say, Christoph Heinz, friend and colleague, and his titles can be seen on the screen. I immediately give him the floor and thank him very much for having come today, this evening, to address you. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Professor Kolb, Mesdames et Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I'll do half of my speech in French and half in English, so that was the French half. So my speech will indeed be short. It's a great pleasure and honor to address you tonight. As graduates or experts, as you know, in the master's program, as family members and friends of the graduates, and as professors and staff of the Geneva Academy. In particular, students, you're at the end of what I think is a very invigorating journey, which gave you exposure to the vantage point presented by Geneva itself, I think a great place with lots to offer, the Geneva Academy as well, which exposes one to the cutting edge of human rights and humanitarian law and international issues of our time through lectures, dissertations, and internships with the human rights bodies here in other parts of the world. I often wish that I would have been a student here many years ago when I did postgraduate studies, and I envy those who are graduating here tonight. I also think that you have the opportunity, like those at the Oscars tonight, to say, I just want to thank the Academy for the graduation that you have. I do think I have a basis from which to claim to have some understanding of the significance of the events today, having had the opportunity of experiencing such ceremonies as a graduate, as a father of students who graduated, as a professor in my home country, South Africa, and also as somebody who's had the opportunity of teaching on this program. Well done and congratulations to all of you. It's a personal milestone, but in many cases a collective one as well. Adopting the proverb, somewhat one can say it takes a village to raise a graduate. Coming from Africa, I would like to emphasize that with rights come duties, and those of us with the advantage of further education owe it to our societies to plow back into the soil from which we come. Today one can say that it takes graduates to raise a village. It has been said that events such as today also in some sense mark a changing of the guard. While we as your professors so far judged you according to our norms, we know that when you go out, we will be judged by the norms and standards that you maintain. So for many reasons, we wish you all the best. No one can tell you what to expect from the world, but let me tell you from my experience as someone who has spent most of his professional career as an academic and a practitioner focusing on the right to life, that I think there is good news and there's bad news. The good news is that we humans as a species live longer, and the percentage of us who meet a violent death is probably lower than ever in recorded human history. It may look like the world is becoming a more violent place, but this is largely the result of improved reporting systems and information. The fact that there is still widespread horror in many parts of the world, such as in Syria, or those who attempt to cross the Mediterranean from unsafe boats to flee from impossible living conditions, is not fake news. These tragedies happen. But those who work in the field of violence reduction tell us that it was even worse before. Larger percentages of the population of the world died at the hands of their peers as part of wars or criminality in the centuries preceding us. This development, if true, as reported by the researchers, has far-reaching consequences. As lawyers, we often think that violence is intractable. The best we can do is to ensure accountability after it had happened and in some vague way hope it will deter others. In the meantime, the criminal justice systems in many countries can simply not cope with the overload of dead or maimed bodies. And in many cases, this leads to almost a paralysis about being able to bring significant change in society. If the violence reduction studies are correct, on the other hand, it shows that there is plenty that can be done to reduce the levels of violence in our societies. And when that happens, the criminal justice systems may be able to cope with the workload again. So in some respects, we are making progress. But this is obviously the point where the bad news then comes in. We do live longer and safer lives, or we may live longer and safer lives, but it seems to me clear that it's getting more and more difficult for people to have a sense of purpose, of being rooted, of having meaningful lives. We live, as it has been put, in the age of anger. There's a growing sense of resentment, of having been left out, as articulated by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, famous citizen of this city, and by many others, that the world has become an impersonal, unconnected place. We see this not only in increasing levels of demonstrations worldwide, but alienation sustains the whole spectrum of growing radicalism, from those who voted the leader of the free world into power to those who rush to join the destructive forces of ISIS. It's hard to say what drives this radicalism, and the world has seen many radical actions before, but there seems to be a particular universality, if not unity, a common thread in what is happening today. Some say that the Enlightenment project and commerce-driven globalization have overpromised and underdelivered. Those who are left behind or pushed back by it, by globalization, will either become apathetic or at some point strike back in a world that has become increasingly impersonal. From my own perspective, it seems that the increased use of unmanned weapon systems do symbolize, in some way, this process in very stark terms. Those with technology can now use armed drones, or even autonomous weapons to strike those they see as a threat anywhere at any time around the world. But this is merely a symbol, a reminder of a broad underlying process in terms of which people lose control over their lives when the global markets and media set the pace, the goals, and the values. If this is even half true, we have our work cut out. We will have to find a way to make sure people are more rooted, and to root the Human Rights Project, which is aimed at securing the fundamental needs of each individual. There's no doubt that human rights is under serious strain. The image I have in my mind is those palm trees in Florida a few months ago, when Hurricane Irma hit Florida. Human rights are bending, in some cases breaking, under the onslaught of the winds of globalization and depersonalization. Some think we have come to the end of human rights, to the twilight zone, or that bureaucratic notions such as development will play the role that human rights now play. So my question to you is, how can we make sure that the Human Rights Project and humanitarian concerns survive the storm and in fact flourish? We will have to find ways to root the project more deeply, to make sure it protects our most basic needs as individuals and does not become so general and indeed so universal and impersonal in its aspirations that it no longer belongs to anyone, that it becomes an abstraction with no real connections to the lives of ordinary people. I certainly do not have the answer to how this should be done, but let me offer perhaps 4 points on my best take on what needs to be done. As I see it, we need to find ways to bring the Human Rights Project closer to the ground. Places like Geneva and New York and the UN headquarters play an important role, but I also think that the project will only survive if, in addition to the top-down influence that the United Nations, for example, has, the bottom-up part is also strengthened. This could come in many forms. I would mention 4. I'm sure you will be able to think of many others. From my point of view, one practical suggestion, and we were discussing it earlier today when different treaty bodies met, one particular measure that can be taken is if the treaty bodies, for example, meet, most of us meet 3 times a year, if they meet once a year in a different part of the world. Whether it's in Costa Rica, Addis Ababa, Bangkok, or from my perspective, in Pretoria. That means that they come closer to the ground and that there is in addition to the centralized part, there is also a closer link with NGOs, with victims, with others who want to engage with the system. And in a way, the system goes to the problem, and it's not only the problems that come to the system. I think in the second place that regional systems should be strengthened and integrated more fully with a global system. And personally, I've had great pleasure in working with the African Commission over many years, because I do think it's important that in addition to the global or the global part of the system, that the regional parts are strengthened. Earlier this week, in the third place, we talked at the Human Rights Committee about how the work of national human rights institutions can be made more productive and how they can serve as entry points in terms of keeping the coherence of the system. And I think in the fourth and last place, that we need to find creative ways to make human rights education more accessible and to take it to the people. In Africa, to cite one example, we now have started with human rights moot courts in the schools. So in South Africa, we have that, and next year it will be part of the essay that every person of about 17 years old have to write. They start in Ghana, Uganda, Mozambique will start soon as well. The kids are loving it, and I can personally say that I very much enjoy my work within the UN system, but perhaps the greatest gratification that I've received and the most rewarding involvement has been with these schools, where one sees people responding to a problem that you give to them. For example, are you allowed to wear a nose ring to school? What about teenage pregnancies at school? How it should be happen, where they solve those problems, not in the first place with resorting to what is written in the Constitution or the international standards, but by common sense, and then find out that these things actually coincide and they have that sense of ownership. For too long, we've built the system from the top down. We need to build it from the bottom up. These are merely a couple of thoughts on how to make the Human Rights Project more grounded and thus more enduring. I'm sure that there are many other and better ideas out there. However, the point I want to make, and with that I want to conclude, is that we do not have that much time for these ideas to emerge and to be implemented. What we need are fresh heads, fresh hearts, people with knowledge and passion, who have a solid academic as well as a practical background and a sense of mission in the troubled times that are ours. In short, we need you. Congratulations to all of you on this great achievement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christoph, for this very interesting speech. We should now move to the Henri Dunant Prize, and there are three aspects which will take here the floor. The first one is a general presentation of that prize by Roger Durand. Then there will be the announcement of the winner of the prize 2017. And finally, there will be a statement by the winner of this prize 2017. So you have a nice parcel now with three aspects on which you will be addressed. To whom may I give the floor? Roger Durand. À vous la place.
Messieurs les professeurs, chers étudiants, tout d'abord, contrairement au programme, je vais m'exprimer en français pour rappeler qu'à Genève, cette langue est encore un petit peu pratiquée. Et j'espère que tous, vous me comprendrez. Sinon, après, à l'apéritif, je pourrais apporter quelques explications, ou Nicolas en anglais. Donc la Fondation Henri Dunant est active depuis maintenant presque 25 ans. Elle a été fondée par des membres de la famille, des historiens et des cadres de la Croix-Rouge internationale. Actuellement, son conseil est formé d'arrière-petits-neveux et petites-nièces d'Henri Dunant, M. Pierre-André Bongodalgue, Mme Marie-Caroline Fell, qui est ici présente. M. Bongodalgue est retenu par la maladie. Et puis, Mme Cécile Dunant-Martinez, qui est donc aussi une descendante, et c'est elle qui proclamera le nom ou de la lauréate. Font partie du conseil des spécialistes ou de droit international humanitaire ou d'historiens. Il y a Nicolas Florquin qui est avec nous maintenant. Il y a Cathy Clément et François Bugnon, les deux étant retenus à l'étranger, et puis moi-même. Donc ce prix Henri Dunant a été constitué pour encourager des hommes, des femmes, éventuellement des institutions, mais surtout des personnes qui contribuent à développer, à prolonger, à adapter les idées et les idéaux humanitaires d'Henri Dunant, car celui-ci, s'il est très connu comme fondateur du mouvement international de la Croix-Rouge et du Croissant-Rouge et ipso facto du droit international humanitaire, était aussi préoccupé par d'autres causes, qui d'ailleurs ne sont pas très éloignées. On va citer la protection des opprimés, des persécutés, des victimes, mais des catégories encore plus ciblées, par exemple l'esclavage, actif de son temps, mais je crois que malheureusement avec encore pas mal de syndromes aujourd'hui, l'arbitrage international, la lutte contre le militarisme, la promotion du désarmement et la lutte contre le colonialisme, lui qui fut un colon. Donc nous avons là un panel d'idéaux, de combats que Henri Dunant a menés pendant toute son existence, et nous sommes attentifs à l'un ou l'autre de ces aspects lorsque nous attribuons le prix Henri Dunant. Étant donné la variété des sujets, nous avons opté maintenant pour deux catégories. Nous avons un prix terrain et nous avons un prix recherche. Paradoxalement, je vais plus vous parler du prix terrain, alors qu'ici, nous sommes pour le prix recherche. Alors, le prix terrain, donc, il est naturellement donné à des personnes qui s'engagent dans des situations concrètes, souvent dans des situations en danger, ou dans des lieux où le droit international humanitaire ne pénètre pas. Alors, Par exemple, lorsque nous l'avons donné à Madame Padiva, Lena Padiva, en Colombie, c'est parce qu'elle faisait un travail magnifique auprès des tribus autochtones qui ignoraient tout à la fois du droit international, mais en même temps de leurs droits. Nous l'avons aussi donné à Pierre Claver Mbonimpa au Burundi, dans un pays qui malheureusement aujourd'hui encore est terriblement concerné par le non-respect des droits de l'homme. D'ailleurs, M. Claver Mbonimpa a ensuite été la victime d'agressions. Il a échappé de peu à la mort et nous plaisons à penser que l'opération de secours a aussi été engagé par notre fondation. Nous avons aussi eu le plaisir de le donner, par exemple, à Madame Robot, qui était active au Vietnam et qui, elle, s'occupait d'enfants victimes de l'agent orange, n'est-ce pas, ce terrible moyen de guerre que certaines puissances avaient utilisé contre les Vietnamiens. Nous l'avons aussi donné, par exemple, à monsieur le professeur Jiltokin Cheou au Kosovo, au moment où cette région était encore une province de la Serbie. Et le professeur avait traduit les textes fondamentaux en albanais, ça n'existait pas, le souvenir de Solferino n'existait pas en albanais, certains commentaires de la Convention de Genève non plus, etc. Et il a ensuite fait partie de ceux qui ont dû être évacués du Kosovo au moment de la guerre de 99-2000. Nous l'avons aussi donné, par exemple, à Radio Hirondelle, qui est une radio qui donne des informations dans des zones de conflit où les informations sûres sont peu connues, peu fréquentes. Et le dernier que nous avons attribué, c'est à M. Mohamed Ben Ahmed, un Tunisien qui, depuis 30 ans, milite pour des passerelles, des ponts entre le monde occidental et le monde musulman. Donc, si j'insiste sur le prix terrain, c'est un peu paradoxal. Mais c'est parce que, en fait, nous espérons vivement que vous, qui êtes tous maintenant des spécialistes en droit international humanitaire, mais des académiques, des intellectuels, des gens de bureau, eh bien que vous vous engagiez aussi sur le terrain. Et que peut-être un jour, dans 2 ans, dans 5 ans, dans 10 ans, nous, Fondation, plutôt mes successeurs, on aura le plaisir de donner le prix terrain à l'un d'entre vous. Pourquoi pas? J'en viens maintenant au prix, à un autre prix 2017. Donc, le jury était formé du professeur Frank Aldeman pour l'Académie, de François Bugnon et de Morgane Desboeuf pour notre fondation, d'Étienne Custer qui représentait le CICR, c'est donc on pourrait dire le jury neutre, et puis Dany Diogo qui nous a aussi beaucoup aidé, tant pour la préparation que pour la réalisation. Alors, le jury était appelé à départager 3 candidats qui avaient soumis donc des mémoires de diplôme LLM à l'Académie et qui avaient été retenus par le Cénacle des professeurs. Je les nomme simplement puisqu'en fait ils sont nominés, malheureusement il n'y en aura qu'un des 3 qui sera retenu. Alors c'est monsieur Bressan, madame Galino et madame Krotiouk. J'espère que je n'abîme pas son nom. Madame Krotiouk, c'est juste? Merci, excusez-moi. À la suite d'un examen approfondi, le jury, tout en saluant la qualité des 2 autres mémoires, a conclu par consensus en recommandant au Conseil un mémoire dont Madame Dunant vous parlera dans un instant. Il a tenu compte de l'originalité et du caractère novateur de sa démarche, du traitement d'une question très concrète et d'une grande actualité, d'une rigueur dans la construction juridique, de l'équilibre entre analyse théorique et indication de la pratique, du fait que l'analyse théorique s'appuyait sur 2 études bien documentées, et du fait que l'on peut dégager de ce mémoire certains enseignements pratiques. Le jury a estimé en outre que ce mémoire se situait dans le droit fil des critères d'attribution du prix, notamment dans une meilleure application du droit international humanitaire et surtout dans un sens de la communication, une clarté du langage, une rigueur dans l'argumentation qui ont toujours été des soucis d'Henri Dunant. En conclusion, je donne la parole maintenant à Cécile Dunant-Martinez.
Alors, pour le conseil de fondation, il a décidé d'attribuer le prix Henri Dunant de recherche, donc cette année 2017, à Madame Isabelle Gallino pour son mémoire. Alors, le mémoire s'appelle Factors Motivating Non-State Armed Groups to Comply with International Humanitarian Law, Reflections on Positive Practice. Bravo.
Félicitations. Merci. Alors, on vous laisse la parole.
Merci.
Good evening, everyone. It is so good to see you all here tonight. I want to thank the Fondation Henri Dunant and the Academy for this prize. It is such an honor for me to receive an award that has the name of a man who has done so much for the protection of valuable people. So thank you very much. My paper focused on the instances where non-state armed groups actually respected international humanitarian law. And this idea of concentrating on compliance rather than on violations was linked to a project I was working on at the ICRC as an intern. And the name of this project is IHL in Action. And it is basically a collection of real case studies documenting compliance with IHL. So this is where the inspiration for my paper came from. I am more and more convinced that to consider examples of compliance is essential. Indeed, it firstly gives a more balanced and accurate account of what is happening on the ground, meaning that we should not only take into account when armed groups violate IHL, but also when they comply with it. Secondly, it helps to maintain the trust in the IHL system. And thirdly, considering instances of respect can also increase compliance. And we have heard it many times this year. If one party does not believe that the other party will respect IHL, the chances that the first party will respect it are very slim. And this is true at the level of the individual decisions, for instance, the decision of the commander, whether to respect or not to respect IHL, but it is also true at the broader level of the system of IHL. Now, my paper was focused on the factors motivating armed groups to comply with IHL. So in other words, what brings armed groups to respect it? And the truth is that these factors greatly depend and vary depending on the armed groups we're talking about, depending on their structure, their hierarchy, for instance. They also depend on the context we're talking about and many other elements. However, it is possible to identify some recurrent patterns, or in Castano's word, clusters of realities. In general, we can indeed divide the motivational factors in two broad categories. We can divide them under the logic of consequences, meaning that armed groups comply with IHL because it brings more advantageous consequences for them. And on the other hand, under the logic of appropriateness, which is about ethical and humanitarian considerations. After a general and more theoretical analysis of motivational factors, in my paper, I analyzed and compared the motivational factors of two specific armed groups in two different contexts. And they were the FARC in Colombia and the JEM, the Justice and Equality Movement in Sudan. And to limit the field of study, I focused on the cases where these groups made progresses in the field of child soldier demobilization. This analysis showed how, despite the context specificity of some motivational factors, some elements were recurrent for both armed groups. For instance, political and reputational considerations, as well as considerations of legitimacy, were present for both armed groups. And in fact, the strive for legitimacy of both the FARC and the JEM, linked to their political agenda, have significantly stimulated their measures on child soldiers. Furthermore, also the so-called factor of return to peace played an important role in this regard, with peace agreements and ceasefire agreements motivating them to prohibit child recruitment. So my paper was specifically on these motivational factors. More generally, it is essential to continue to find ways to increase the respect for AHL and to engage with armed groups if you are to continue a fight for the protection of human dignity and for the protection of the most vulnerable. Now, to be honest, if I look at our class, I have no doubts that this fight will continue, and in a very powerful way. And it has been a real pleasure to meet and discuss with people from my class with the same passion all along the year in the context of the Academy. And for this, I actually have to thank the Academy for creating such an interesting and stimulating program with such brilliant students and professors. And finally, I have to thank a couple of people. Firstly, I want to thank my supervisor at the ICRC, Juliane Garcia-Ravel, for her valuable inputs. Secondly, Professor Sassoli for introducing me to IHL and for giving me the tools to write such a paper. Thirdly, my family, who is here tonight, for their constant support and for believing in me. And then I have a special thank you for 3 people from my class that have been listening to my doubts, to my complaints, who have given me inputs as well for my paper, and they are Martin, Kvitka, and Gemma. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It is always very agreeable when we are with the prizes, and for me also great joy that somebody spoke in French. I have always been a defender of plurilingualism, but I was prohibited to speak in French myself this evening. Now, the next point is as agreeable as the last one, because it's still a question of giving prizes for papers. The prize for the Master Transitional Justice paper and the best LLM paper. I have them here, and I would just ask the people I will nominate, 2 persons, to come here, and I will hand them over their very nice diploma. The 2017 award for the best MTG paper is granted to Mr. Tafadzwa Christmas. And second, the 2017 award for the best LLM paper is granted to Mrs. Aida Diana Farkas. Now, having still the floor, I can do the rest, namely open the graduation ceremony. And we start with the distribution of the diplomas of the Master's Transitional Justice. Could the helpers come? The idea is that those who are nominated come, shake my hand, and then take their diploma.
So the first 2017 MTG student graduating tonight is Amar Sahar, cum laude. Congratulations. Bedroud Samir, congratulations. Bollier Ignacio, summa cum laude, congratulations. Chris Mustafa, summa cum laude, congratulations. Cravero Ferreira Liliana, congratulations. Deakino Michel, cum laude. Congratulations. Chiara Samani Stefania, cum laude. Congratulations. Questani Mamoube, cum laude. Congratulations. Leka Mwasam Nipunika, cum laude. Congratulations. Lion Seron Laura, cum laude. Congratulations. Menimana Nathalie, cum laude. Nadaraja Navaranjini, congratulations. Uko Yunis, congratulations. And finally, Ping Panhapo, congratulations. Now comes the turn of the LLM. So the first 2017 LLM student graduating is Alragabi Arish. Congratulations. Amoroso Alessandro, cum laude. Congratulations. Anselmo Aurelia, congratulations. Vansal Jouet, congratulations. Baron Mendoza Laura, cum laude, congratulations. Black Julie, cum laude, congratulations. Bressan Giovanni, cum laude, congratulations. Komninos Alexis, summa cum laude, congratulations. Deandra Penalbert Thais, cum laude. Eclo Lazari, cum laude. Congratulations. Engel Kelena, congratulations. Oh, she's not. Okay. Sorry. Aida Farkas, cum laude. Führer Sarah, congratulations. Galino Isabel, cum laude. Hutchinson Charles, cum laude. Krotiuk Kvitoslava, sorry, cum laude. Miranda Federica, congratulations. Nagler Patrick, summa cum laude. Congratulations. Nihaja Namindrana Soa, congratulations. Uele de Costa Eloise, summa cum laude, congratulations. Papoti Giovanni, congratulations. Periccione Alessia, cum laude. Piacenta Elena, cum laude. Ramani Anania, congratulations. Scosia Silvia, cum laude. Sen Indumati, congratulations. Seoan Dalila, cum laude. Seward Caroline, cum laude. Tipette Benjamin, cum laude. Van der Eyden Martin, cum laude. Van Pog Thomas, summa cum laude. Verga Mavenaris, cum laude. And finally comes the turn of our executive master participants. There are only a few tonight, 3, if I'm not wrong. Congratulations to Odvos Patricia, summa cum laude. Pascale Valentina, summa cum laude. And the last participant, Viva Ragire Maria, congratulations. Congratulations to all of you. I give you the floor.
We are more than in time, finally. I must have frightened everyone at the beginning. Therefore, I can tell you that the graduation ceremony terminates with some 40 minutes of advance. But that is only the end of the official part, because now we have the pleasure to invite you at the cocktail at the cafeteria, just upstairs, straight beforehand, and then you will have a nice moment to pass there. Thank you very much for having been with us, and all the best.